man. Shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation.
DBN Nation, of course. Support DBN Nation. You hearing it from Floyd Money Mayweather.
It's Terrence Crawford, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
This is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo! Hey.
If you know, you know. Matter of fact, scratch that, because we no longer know what's happening with ESPN. Ladies and gentlemen, I never thought this day would come. Not in a million years. I never thought one day in boxing they will try to erase a loss of somebody's record. Not just once. Oh, nah. They did it twice. Then turn around and act like nothing happened. And that's like the equivalent of committing a crime and leaving the evidence at the scene of the crime. And ESPN need to come out and clarify what's been happening lately on their network, because it's unacceptable. I mean, do they need the Aki to come to ESPN and get things together? Are you going to tell me it was a mistake that they erased Lomachenko lost? Then, since they couldn't get away with it, they didn't erase it anymore. However, they replaced it as a draw. They replaced the loss as a draw on Lomachenko record. And ironically enough, they did it around the time they invited Crawford over, and he was the guest for Teddy Atlas and Max Kellerman on First Take Talk Show. As soon as the video started, Max Kellerman stated that pound for pound number one is Terrence Crawford, according to Teddy Atlas' pound for pound list. Apparently, Teddy Atlas changed his pound for pound list. Then, not too long after, ESPN shows their pound for pound list, and they have the one and only Lomachenko. And the one and only loss that he had, where he got schooled and taken to the Mexican university where he couldn't graduate, and didn't want to even revisit that school to maybe the second chance, the second time around. He actually probably had a better chance of graduating. However, he didn't want to even rematch Salido. And they have the audacity to erase the loss. And it's funny that this time, instead of erasing the loss completely, they replaced it as a draw, when it was a clear win for Salido, where he took him to the Mexican university. And keep in mind, Salido at the time was already washed up. I mean, he was Mikey Garcia leftover. I mean, even Gamboa fought him years ago, and they were talking about he was washed then. So that version of Salido schooled Lomachenko, and they tried to erase that loss. And the audacity to do so, while they have Terrence Crawford on the show claiming he's pound for pound number one, and then turn around and show a list of Lomachenko being pound for pound number one on ESPN list. I mean, the nerve to compliment somebody, then turn around and stab him in the back. Like I said, if this was a mistake, if you want to call it that, then whoever made that mistake need to get fired on the job. Because this is not a mistake. This is what I call corruption. This is what I call manipulating. It's like they want to manipulate the casual boxing fans to really think that Lomachenko is pound for pound number one, when it's clearly Terrence Crawford. But what's the problem when both Terrence Crawford and Lomachenko fight for the network? Why do they want Lomachenko to be pound for pound number one so bad? Obviously, it's because he a fighter from the hopeless. And I don't know when the last time they had a fighter from the hopeless being pound for pound number one, or even that close to it. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao is a different story. He did earn his spot. Lomachenko didn't earn that spot. Lomachenko is the same guy that turned down a fight with a 40-year-old grandpa, Manny Pacquiao, that was willing to fight him at a catchweight. And he even was willing to move down to 135. And Lomachenko said no to that. So ESPN could try to erase his loss. However, maybe there's more to come. maybe that's why they gave him the French fries title that he requested to avoid a 20-year-old Devin Haney. And despite all that, ESPN still pushes the agenda of Lomachenko being pound for pound number one and trying their best and their hardest to erase his loss, which is damaging for Lomachenko and his brand, and also for ESPN credibility. It's so significant and embarrassing for the network as a whole, because then ESPN will turn out to be and end up being no longer reliable, because they literally lie on their stats in front of our eyes. So ESPN must clarify the mistake that they have made twice, if you want to call it that. So we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. However, ironically enough, that happened around the same episode where they stated that Crawford is pound for pound number one as soon as they introduced him. So they can't be two pound for pounds. There only could be one number one pound for pound. The number one is a singular for a person or a thing. There's no place for two people for the number one position on the pound for pound list. So, like I said, since Teddy Atlas believed that Terrence Crawford is the best instant fighter of all time, or the best instant fighter he ever seen and the best switch hitter, and he has a better resume than Lomachenko, and he has more power, better defense, has the better IQ of the two, has the better resume of the two, have been more dominant of the two. Obviously, Crawford having lost since he turned pro, Crawford became undisputed, something that Lomachenko is trying to accomplish today, and he ruined it. He ruined the recipe by giving up his strap to avoid a 20-year-old Devin Haney. So how is Lomachenko pound for pound number one on ESPN? And obviously, according to Teddy, they announced Crawford as pound for pound number one during the meeting because Crawford was the guest. But be my guest and explain to me, how is ESPN pound for pound number one Lomachenko? And last time I heard Teddy Atlas speak about the pound for pound list, he had Lomachenko as number one pound for pound. So they changed their pound for pound number one every season? When Lomachenko fights is Lomachenko, when Crawford fights is Crawford. And when it comes down to professionalism, this definitely ain't it. I mean, ESPN and Teddy Atlas keep making themselves look bad time and time again. And this doesn't just start today. I remember the time, like I told y'all on the video that I already dropped, check it out. It's the last video I dropped on this subject or similar to it. I mean, Teddy Atlas was talking to Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford. At the time, Terrence just became undisputed. Andre Ward just knocked out the Crusher Kovalev that was arguably pound for pound number 3 or 2. So that being said, Lomachenko was only 8 with 1 loss. I believe he had 8-1 record. And Teddy Atlas had the audacity to tell these brothers that they not competing with each other, they competing with Lomachenko. That's why Andre Ward was looking at him like, man, you know what? I spent my whole career competing with Floyd. Floyd retired, and now you don't want to give me my props, the credit that I earned? You want to give out bonus credit because you like Lomachenko, and we see Lomachenko today getting exposed by Luke Campbell almost? Is that why Teddy Atlas no longer have him on pound for pound number one this season? So what I'm saying and what I'm trying to get to y'all is this. Andre Ward looked at Teddy Atlas, and Teddy was the reason why Andre Ward retired, because he basically told himself, no matter what I do, I'm not even competing with myself. I'm competing with Lomachenko. I mean, you telling me I waited my whole career, I won a gold medal, stayed undefeated for over decades or a decade, and fought the best, never once turned down a fight, and y'all gonna tell him that he's not pound for pound number one? And that he competing with a guy with 1 loss that haven't proven a thing in the game? So it was so disrespectful that I saw in Andre Ward's eyes, he looked at Teddy Atlas and was like, you know what? If the game is surrounded by guys that has his mindset, I'm out of the game. Terrence Crawford, good luck with that. And that's why Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward was staring at Teddy Atlas like he lost his mind that day. And like I said, now he want to credit Terrence Crawford. Now he want to credit and give a shout out to Andre Ward, talking about he's a great switch hitter. However, right after that, they show Lomachenko still being number 1 pound for pound, still ducking Devin Haney, still avoiding a Manny Pacquiao fight, still not avenging his loss against Alito. So that being said, this has to stop. This can no longer continue. This corruption shouldn't exist in the sport of boxing. To erase someone lost is beyond me, because I can't even fathom the fact that they have the audacity to even try to do such a thing just because Lomachenko is on the hope list. So be on the lookout for Teddy Atlas and Max Kellerman video where they bash Floyd and obviously discredit Floyd, not giving him his props. And they rather praise Tyson Fury and his great opponents, never calling out Tyson Fury for ducking or cherry picking, right? And they want to turn around and take shots at Floyd, especially Teddy Atlas, for the fact that he knows who committed the crime and he chooses to blame someone else for it. Teddy Atlas was the guy in the past that knew about Pacquiao and Floyd drug situation, and then he turned around and say Floyd is the reason why this fight is taking place 5 years too late, even though he the one that called out Pacquiao for eating that forbidden fruit. So which one is it, Teddy Atlas? And which one is it, Max Kellerman? Is it Tyson Fury that's fighting the best competition? Because I never hear y'all criticizing him. And on the other hand, they can't wait to bring up Floyd Mayweather's name and put dirt on his name. Even though he the fighter you could really praise the most, because he the one that really did the most. If you really know Pretty Boy Floyd stage, then Money May. Even the Money May version beat Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez. So what are we talking about here? So we're going to discuss this and dissect it on the next video I'm dropping today. So be on the lookout for that. And we're going to talk about this on Split Decision Live. So make sure y'all call in and give us y'all take on what do y'all think is happening with ESPN. This ain't WWE. And one thing for sure, they could always try to hype you up. They could put all this hype behind you. However, one thing they could never do is fight for you. And back in the day, Donaire was supposed to be that guy. And Rigondeaux ruined them plans. Crawford obviously tried to fight Lomachenko. Lomachenko said, absolutely not. Yeah, I respect you, and we might be cool, but I'm definitely not a fool. Lomachenko, he swerved on Terrence Crawford like he was a bookie. So that being said, you could possibly catch Lomachenko with a hoodie on, so Devin Haney won't catch him walking around, because obviously he already took one of his straps. He don't want to end up finessing him with all his straps. So that being said, Lomachenko need to do something about that so he could get some of the respect that he lost and put some respect on his name. Because at this moment, at this rate that ESPN is going, as far as trying to erase his loss and calling Crawford pound for pound number 1 on air, but then show the list of Lomachenko being pound for pound number 1 is unacceptable, to say the least. So like I said, we're going to talk about this, and we'll see if ESPN issues an apology to the boxing fans, because obviously even a casual fan will be upset to see false statistics. So that being said, subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't listen to these casual fans. Follow Lunatoon for the funniest boxing memes. I will leave his IG link in the description box below, so keep it a G and follow my man, because he too part of the new media movement. Check out my new show, Split Decision. Click on the notification bell to get notified every time we post to go live on Split Decision. And to be continued on the next episode of Achi TV. Peace, and we outie.